Kevin was sitting on the sofa, wouldn't take his eyes off the ceiling. He said, "What hour is it?" I looked at the clock on the wall and said indifferently, "Couple of minutes past midnight. It's going to start any time now." "What's going to start?" "The sounds." "Sounds of what?" Kevin took his eyes off the ceiling for a moment, looked at me and said, "Wait and you'll find out." "Find out what?" A sound came from above, and this time both of us looked up at the ceiling. Kevin sounded agitated, his voice shaking. "Didn't I say?" "Right, sounds come from upstairs." "Yeah, congratulations, Kevin. You just discovered that your upstairs neighbor is pacing in his house." "That's our landlord." "Well, your landlord's used to strolling around his apartment at midnight. What's the big deal? What's so thrilling about it that made you want to invite me, your pal, to listen in?" Kevin hadn't taken his eyes off the ceiling yet. "That's not all. Not even close," he said. The steps stopped. Now we heard mumbles of two people. Kevin's eyes grew wider. He looked at me, frightened. "Do you hear that?" "Yeah, it looks like two people talking, but I can't hear what they're saying." "It doesn't matter what they talk about. It's that they are talking." "Kevin, listen. It's just getting too frustrating. You're just dragging it out. Are you going to tell me why you asked me to come to your place tonight?" "I asked you to come to back me up. I'm going upstairs." "So we could do what?" If you enjoy our videos and want to support the channel, please hit subscribe and click on the bell. Don't forget to like. Thanks. We heard their steps again, this time faster and pounding harder. The conversation took a louder turn too. "Looks like you pissed your landlord off." "Hey, can you hear what they're saying?" "Actually, I don't know. I don't understand any of it." "That's because they're speaking another language." Kevin was right. At first, I thought I couldn't tell their words because their voices came too low, but now they had started talking louder. I still couldn't understand what they were saying. It just felt like two angry people shouting at each other on the upper floor and pounding their feet. "You're right. I'm going upstairs and find out what's he doing. Maybe it wouldn't be such a good idea to meddle with your landlord's business." If only everything was so simple. "What does that mean?" "You want to hear this scary part now?" "Yeah, and what is that?" "My landlord is a lone crippled old man who's been riding a wheelchair for years. Not only he can't walk, so we'd be able to hear his steps, but he also lives alone. There's no one there that he could talk to." Oh. Now both of us were staring at the ceiling and listening for footsteps or conversations between Kevin's wheelchair-bound landlord and his unknown guest. "What do you think they were talking about? Why the constant shouting? What are they so mad about?" To be honest, the main question should be, who is he talking to? Right. We've got to find out first. "Hey Kevin, how long have you been hearing the voices?" "It's been 3 weeks." "What? But you've only moved to this place since 3 weeks ago." "Exactly, and ever since that first night, every single night, the sounds start around midnight and stop after 30 minutes. During this week, did you see any guests come to your landlord's apartment?" "I'm sure he's alone, no doubt about that. Even last week I told him that I'd heard him having a fight with his guest." "And what did your landlord say?" "He said I was definitely wrong and the voices came from the TV." "That can't be no TV sounds. No way." "A couple of nights ago they were pounding on the floor so loudly it sounded like a bunch of wild horses were left to gallop around upstairs. The entire time the chandelier above my head was shaking." "Oh my God." "But tonight, I've got to learn what's going on with them." "How?" "We've got to go upstairs."
"Are you crazy?"
"Aren't you scared?"
"Of course I'm scared, aren't you?"
Kevin put on a smile and said, "Yeah, I'm scared too, and that makes it all more exciting." The footsteps and the talking stopped for a while. Kevin and I looked at one another, and then we heard a faint whisper followed by someone's weeping. "Is that your landlord crying?" "That sounds like a woman." "Could it be that he has a female companion?" "I don't know, let's just go upstairs, everything will be clear then." "Alright." Kevin went first, and I stepped down right behind him. We slowly climbed the dark, dingy stairs up and stood behind the old man's apartment. We could still hear the woman crying, and there was another voice. Someone else talking. "Kevin! Hey, Kevin!" "What? What's wrong?" "How are you going to get the old man to come out?" "I don't know, we'll find a way." Kevin landed a few quiet knocks on the door. The weeping and the chattering stopped. I took a few steps back, shivering, and just stood there. Kevin knocked again. I heard the screeching sounds of the old landlord's rusty wheelchair from behind the door. The knob turned, and the door opened on its hinges. We saw the old man sitting on his wheelchair at the doorstep. Kevin was trying hard not to lose his cool. Hi." The old man looked at Kevin and then at me, puzzled.
"Hey, is everything alright?"
"Are you alright?" The old man took a sneak look at me and then looked at Kevin.
"Of course, what seems to be the problem?"
"We heard noises coming from upstairs. I thought that perhaps—"
"Oh, sorry to have disturbed you."
"Looks like you have guests."
"Guests? I didn't have any guests."
Kevin was right. The old man was hiding something, but what? Kevin tried to fake a courtesy smile, but couldn't. "We must have made a mistake. I'm sorry for the trouble."
"Don't worry, have a good night."
The old man with his wheelchair slowly shifted back and disappeared into the dark as he closed the door on us. Kevin was still staring at the closed door. "Kevin! Hey, Kevin, come on, let's go back." Kevin's eyes were still fixed on the door. "Did you see it too?" "What?" "Right behind the old man, just behind his wheelchair in the dark. Did you see it?" "No, who was there?" Kevin's voice now trembling. "Oh dear God, oh dear God." Kevin, shaking, couldn't take his eyes off the door.